meaning his body. It's interesting that now that Jesus is dead, they understand Jesus meant his body and not the actual temple. Also, something I found out was using a stone in front of a tomb was common practice for those rich enough to have a tomb. It was used to keep animals from going in and eating the body. So for them to seal the tomb would have made the stone more difficult to remove, let alone having guards that made sure that no one would even try to remove it. Can you imagine what the disciples could be feeling at this moment? They had abandoned everything to follow Jesus. They followed Jesus around for 3 years. To see him unjustly executed would cause a serious crisis in how they saw their future. Have you ever been so sure of something that you invested all your time in it only to find out it wasn't true or worthy of your time with no fallback? Imagine you decided to pursue a political career. You campaign using all your savings. You start to win in popularity. You spend 3 years climbing your way up, and bam, a scandal so bad, you not only lose the popular opinion, but gain such infamy that you're scared someone's coming for your life. This is how the disciples felt. They have every reason to be afraid. Both the Jewish leaders and the disciples had unbelief. The disciples were told Jesus would rise again. So either they forgot or had some other idea where Jesus would be rising from. Like maybe they thought Jesus uses a lot of metaphors. Maybe he means it looks like he's starting to lose a fight with the Romans or the Jewish leaders and then comes back on top. Either way, they're locked in a house hiding away with no hope. It's all reasonable for them to think Jesus was wrong. After all, Jesus died while hanging on a tree, which would mean, according to Deuteronomy 21:23, that God cursed Jesus. The Jews as well doubt Jesus, but they presume ill motives from the disciples. They doubt Jesus was truly the Son of God, so they killed him. So they also doubted he could rise from the dead. Instead, they probably projected out of their own character that the disciples would create a hoax to make Jesus more believable. If there's one thing I got from this study, it was you can be full of hope when it comes to the promises of God. Reminding myself that Jesus twice said, when it comes to fruit bearing, if you ask the Father in prayer, he will do this for you. Once positively in John 15:16, he says, you did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should abide, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give it to you. And second, negatively, in both Mark 11:23 and 24 and Matthew 21:21 through 22, in those passages, the reference is a fig tree that's lacking fruit. And this is symbolic for the spiritual fruitlessness of Israel in the temple. And the meaning of the phrase, say to this mountain and be cast into the sea, means the obstacles that stop the growth of spiritual fruitfulness. And so what we get from it is you can pray to God to remove this obstacle, and expect him to answer. In both John and Mark, we can see examples of spiritual fruit. Positively in John, loving one another. And negatively in Mark, unforgiveness as the obstacle. So Christians have such a great hope. And I don't mean just an emotional, happy expectation, but real assurance to know God is so committed to the growth of our spiritual life that we can pray with confidence, knowing that he will provide us with what he promises. Plus, when I consider an area I want to grow in spiritually, either increase in virtue or decrease in vice. I don't have to fret that I might not change. Instead, I can tell myself, hey, this is an area that I can pray to God about. He promised he would answer this prayer. Even that which hinders me, I can pray about. I have no reason to fear because God is at work in me and keeps his promises. Well, now let's talk about the day that gives rise to why we're here today. Sunday morning, Mary Magdalene, Mary, mother of James, Salome, Joanna, and possibly some other women came to the tomb to Jesus to finish anointing his body with spices because of the hastened job to preserve Jesus before the Sabbath night started Friday night. Before these women arrived, a few things took place. Not only was there an earthquake, the stone was moved out of the way of the tomb, but there was also a being or beings in the shape of a man made of light sitting on the stone. As Matthew says it, he looked like lightning. His appearance was so startling that those guards were scared